All right, to this story now, there's been criticism of the amendments to the minimum norms and standards for public school infrastructure. The amendments remove deadlines for government to ensure basic infrastructure is provided. Equal Education says government is trying to avoid responsibility and to shift the goalposts. Now, the department has extended the deadline for public submissions. Let's get more from Basic Education spokesperson, Mr. Elijah Mhlanga. Mr. Mhlanga, good morning and thank you very much for your time. I actually have to take the opportunity to perhaps start with our focus today, which is ESCOM and the issues it's causing for many. I know that schools have closed currently, but are you in conversation to perhaps have some sort of mechanisms to deal with it post the school break? Because clearly it seems it's going to be with us for a long time.
Well, good morning. Thank you so much. On the ESCOM issue, well, schools might be closed, but our grade 12 learners are in camps. So they need electricity where they are for the camps to be fully effective, because that's where they are getting additional tuition from specialist educators who are helping them to catch up on various areas in the curriculum. So we need it right now. It's not about when schools open. We need electricity everywhere right now. So we are in engagement with ESCOM. We talk to them all the time. Even during examinations, we always ask them to protect certain areas where we keep our papers, but also when we are writing the practical subjects such as IT as well as computer applications technology, we ask them also to keep electricity on because we need it. We can't work computers without it.
And then to the current issue. You've extended the submissions period to the 31st of July. You've heeded the call. That's good and well. But let's talk about the criticism before this. There was criticism, firstly, around your awareness campaign or lack thereof. Some NGOs felt that many couldn't meaningfully participate because it wasn't even published on your website and even on social media, where most people would be able to actually access the information. Talk to me about that.
Well, I guess there are two things. The first one was the publication of the Gazette itself. We did not do anything differently. We always work through a government gazette when it's a process such as this one, where we seek public comments. And we did the same. I think it took some time for some stakeholders in the sector to see it. And we noted that, and we realized that it was important for us to extend the deadline. But in terms of the regulations themselves, people have not had the time to interrogate what proposals we're trying to make. That's why there's just one focus on the deadlines for the eradication of inappropriate facilities in schools. But the rest of the technical stuff has not yet been interrogated because people haven't had the time to do that. But now that we've extended the deadline, we believe they'll be able to go through the entire document and see what needs to be attended to.
And then perhaps for those that now have the benefit of watching you here, I mean, it would be the start of the conversation and would somehow sort of prompt them to go and look further. Just take us through most of the amendments and deal with perhaps the rationale behind the removal of those timeframes, because many of us would not have the appreciation of what thought went into that to decide to say, let's remove the deadlines. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, the removal of the deadlines are actually a misreading of the proposals. That's why I said people have not really read the document in detail. And now that we have given them enough time, we'll be able to engage. By the way, we could still extend it by another 30 days. We are not forced to work with the 30 days that was initially given. Even in other instances, we've been able to extend by 2 to 3 times. Sometimes it takes us years. So we're not rushing. We will give people enough time. But what we are changing is a number of things. The first one is the tables that were there to say what is the ratio, how many toilets do you build in a school which has how many learners. So we are fixing that part as well, because when you look at the demand for space in schools in different parts of the country, it has changed dramatically. There's overcrowding everywhere, so now we are forced to change the way we have been allocating resources to different schools. But also we are looking at financial resources. The economy has not been doing well. Budgets have been cut. What do we do then in that context? So we are saying, what other alternative measures can we put in place that could help the sector still deliver infrastructure that is conducive for teaching and learning without compromising people's lives? So that's the other thing. But also clarifying some of the technical aspects that were there in the regulations that came into effect in 2013. So it's been 9 years of implementing this. So the regulations themselves actually give us the space to review. So the time has come for us to review and say, where can we strengthen? But we also want to clarify the deliverables to provinces, because it is them who deliver this infrastructure.
Yes.
It's not DBE. DBE drafts the regulations and provide a framework and sends the money to provinces for them to deliver. So there has been some confusion in certain areas, and now we're providing clarity in that regard so that no one says they don't know what is supposed to deliver on.
But then, just for clarity, take us through what might have been misread in the timeframes or the absence of those timeframes.
No, it does say, I think it's we do say that we want to align with the NDP goals. And there's a problem with that. They say, how can you allow the law to a plan? Because a plan is just a plan. But the NDP has not changed. Ever since it was finalized, it has been there, and every other department in every other sector, we are all working in terms of those targets in the NDP. So why is it that when it comes to infrastructure and we want to align it to NDP, it's unacceptable when all other goals around maths, curriculum, reading, they're acceptable as they appear in the NDP? So it does not make sense that we're inconsistent. And why is it that we don't seem to trust the NDP when it comes to infrastructure targets, when we trust it in other areas? So we'll have time now to engage, and we'll find each other, as we always do, on processes like this one.
But one could have said that this is perhaps you conceding that those timeframes were unachievable, and that's why you'd like to then align yourself to the NDP. Is that not it?
Well, every plan must be costed. Unfortunately, you don't have the money in your pocket to fund it. You need to go, you have a plan, then you must go somewhere else to get the money. And wherever you get the money, you don't always get what you need. And if you implement your plan without sufficient financial resources, you are going to be told that you have failed, when in fact that failure didn't come from you. It was not originated by you, by the circumstances that are beyond your control. So we also need to be realistic, practical as well in the things that we are doing. So let's work together. But what is important here now is that we are saying to South Africans, here's an opportunity for you. If you disagree with one part of the proposals, tell us what you think is the best way to do it. So this is the time not to really defend any position or anything. It's for us to say, here are the areas of amendments, of possible amendments. Now tell us how you want it to unfold. And we've done that in the past, and we are committed to a constructive public participation process even right now.
But I must say that these ones, particularly because of the confusion, it's drawn more attention, and possibly this is how we want, this is how we want all draft bills to be engaged with, where people are participating. So what more, though, do you think you could do insofar as your communication is concerned? Because had there been no issues around the time frames, it would have slipped under the carpet. Very few people would have participated, and then the amendments are concluded.
Not really. It wouldn't have slipped under the table. You know, we have a whole range of stakeholders in basic education, and we've never done anything behind closed doors. We always invite people, we engage with them. Civil society, there's an engagement which is coordinated by the National Education Collaboration Trust all the time. So no one says we didn't know about something. It's either you were delayed in knowing it, but if you were not aware of it, in our regular standing engagements, it will be on the agenda. So there's nothing that we'll ever do without public participation.
All right. And then in closing, let's talk about another issue that's bubbling under. That's the BELA. That bill, the Basic Education Laws Amendment Bill. I know the DA has threatened to protest because they're saying that you're actually seeking to do away with mother tongue education or usurp the powers of the governing body. Talk to me about the rationale behind this bill and what it really intends to do.
Yeah, I think the position by the DA is silly, really. DA are running also an education department in the Western Cape. They have been supporting the process through and through. It's only now that they've emerged and seem to be opposing because someone else has been opposing it, and they feel they've been missing the bus somewhere and they want to jump onto the wagon. Which is really...
Someone else being AfriForum?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they feel like AfriForum has taken their space, and they feel they need to play in that space as well. But it's completely unnecessary for them to do that because they are part and parcel of the basic education system. The MEC there, the entire department, they participate in this process. We come 4 years of the BELA bill. It's not something that emerged this year. It's been like 3-4 years in the making. We have had many windows of opportunity for people to object. People have been objecting in different areas. Right now, where we are, the process is with Parliament. The Portfolio Committee on Basic Education is now focusing on that. It's their process now. We did all that we could. We realized that we will not agree with everyone all the time, as it's always the case on matters like this one. So Parliament has once again opened public participation window for people to submit comments. So we'll see how it goes there. But we are not taking any powers anywhere. Again, the Bella Bill allows for review of all basic education laws that are required for us to strengthen the sector, and we are doing exactly that. So there's nothing wrong there, but we are not going to agree because some people's comfort zones are now being threatened while in the process of us strengthening the sector. But again, people have yet another opportunity through the parliamentary process to give us their comments.
Okay, and hopefully they will participate in that process. Mr. Mhlanga, thank you very much for joining us this morning. That's Elijah Mhlanga from the Basic Education Department.